Hey guys, welcome back. Today's topic is about human brain from the chapter Control and Coordination of Class 10 Biology. Let's begin. Here, the central nervous system. The brain and spinal cord constitute the central nervous system. In short, it is CNS, that is Central Nervous System. They receive information from all parts of the body and integrate it. So, they are forming the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. They constitute the central nervous system. Now, the continuation part, peripheral nervous system. The communication between the central nervous system and the other parts of the body is facilitated by peripheral nervous system. In short, PNS. Here, this peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves that are arising from the brain and the spinal nerves arising from the spinal cord. So, here central nervous system consists of brain and spinal cord, and the peripheral nervous system consists of cranial nerves that are arising from the brain and the spinal nerves that are arising from the spinal cord. Here, the communication between the central nervous system and the other parts of the body is facilitated by this peripheral nervous system. Here, cranial nerves are 12 pairs. Spinal nerves are 31 pairs. So, here cranial nerves are arising from the brain and the spinal nerves are arising from spinal cord, and they comprise the peripheral nervous system. Now, here let's discuss about in detail here about the human brain. The human brain is well protected by the skull. Here you can see the picture. This is human brain, and you can see how it is protected. Okay, it is well protected inside the skull. This is the outer covering in the skull, that is what we call cranium. So it is well protected inside this skull. Now, after this, inside the skull, the brain is covered by cranial meninges. As we just discussed now here, inside the skull, the brain is covered by the cranium, the cranial meninges, the membranes of the cranium. So they are called cranial meninges, and very important for the exams. These cranial meninges are an outer layer called dura mater, very important, and a very thin middle layer called arachnoid, and the third, an innermost layer, that is pia mater. I repeat this in the order. This is from outermost to innermost. The outermost layer is the dura mater. The second and the middle layer is arachnoid, and the third, the inner layer, is pia mater. And this pia mater is in contact with, it has contact with the brain tissue. Pia mater has the contact with the brain tissue. This is soft, and this dura mater is tough layers. So what are the three meninges that are surrounding the human brain? The answer is the outermost layer dura mater, the middle layer arachnoid, and the inner layer pia mater. This is the order from outer side to inner side. Now, the continuation part. Here, the brain is the central information processing organ of our body. Very important. The brain is the central information processing organ of our body. So, it acts as the command and control system of our body. I repeat it again. The command and control system of our body is the human brain. Okay? Now, it controls so many functions, like it controls the voluntary movements, it controls the balance of the body, and it controls the functioning of vital involuntary organs like lungs, heart, kidneys, etc. It controls the thermoregulation, it controls the thirst and hunger activities, and it controls the circadian rhythms, 24-hour rhythms of our body, and it controls the activities of several endocrine glands. It controls the human behavior. So like this, so many functions are controlled by the human brain. So it is the command and control system of our body. Okay, I repeat the functions of human brain once again. Just you can look here. The voluntary movements, balance of the body, functioning of the vital involuntary organs like lungs, heart, kidneys, thermoregulation, hunger and thirst, circadian or 24-hour rhythms of our body, activities of endocrine glands, human behavior. Not only this, okay, several other functions, the vision, the hearing, speech, memory, intelligence, emotions, thoughts, all these are controlled by human brain. Okay, so the other important functions performed by human brain are the vision, hearing, speech, memory, intelligence, emotions and thoughts. All these are controlled by human brain. So it is the command and control system of our body. Now let's discuss about few more details. Here we think about our actions: writing, talking, moving a chair, clapping at the end of program, or the examples of voluntary actions. Here we think about our actions, and these actions can be writing, talking, moving a chair, clapping at the end of a program. All these are the voluntary actions which are based on the deciding what to do next. Okay, so the brain also has to send messages to the muscles. Okay, so these are the voluntary actions. This is how the brain controls the voluntary actions in our body. Okay, so here these are based on thinking. These voluntary actions are based on the thinking process. Okay, now the continuation part. Here human brain consists of three major parts. These three major parts are a forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain. So these are three major regions. You can see here in this picture, this is the forebrain, the largest part, and here you can see the midbrain, the small region, and the third, hindbrain. So forebrain, midbrain and hindbrain, these are the three major parts in human brain. Now let's discuss about these three major parts in detail one by one. Here forebrain. Here the forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. Forebrain is the main thinking part of the brain. Here the forebrain consists of cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus. So these are the parts in the forebrain. You can see here. Okay, it consists of cerebrum, consists of hypothalamus. Above this is thalamus. At the floor, hypothalamus. So the cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus are the parts in the forebrain. Now let's discuss about these parts in detail. Here cerebrum forms the major part of the human brain. It is the largest part. It is the major part of the human brain. Okay, and here a deep cleft divides the cerebrum longitudinally into two halves. These are termed as left and right cerebral hemispheres. So here a deep cleft divides the cerebrum longitudinally into left and right cerebral hemispheres. Okay, so this is one of the cerebral hemisphere on one side, left side or the right side. So like this is one half, the other half is on the other side. So like this, two halves, the left and right cerebral hemispheres are found in this cerebrum, the largest part of the human brain. Okay, now here the continuation part. The hemispheres are connected by the tract of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. This is very important question for the exams. I repeat this once again. The hemispheres are connected by a tract of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. And here you can see in this picture, this is corpus callosum. Okay, this corpus callosum is connecting the left and right, okay, cerebral hemispheres. Okay, so here the left and right cerebral hemispheres are connected by a tract of nerve fibers called corpus callosum. One of the important question. Now moving to the next, here the layer of cells which covers the cerebral hemispheres is called cerebral cortex. It is the outer side of the cerebrum. Okay, I repeat this once again. The layer of cells which covers the cerebral hemispheres is called cerebral cortex. It is the outer side of the cerebrum and it is torn into prominent folds. There are many folds you can see here. These are the folds, okay, in the cortex region. These are the folds, and these folds we call gyri and sulci. Okay, so these are the two important words, gyri and sulci. Okay, here gyri represents the ridges. Gyri represents the ridges, and the sulci are the depressions. Okay, so these are the two important words, gyri, the ridges, sulci, the depressions. Okay, so the elevated parts are called gyri and the depressions are called sulci. So these are the folds you can see in the cerebral cortex. They are increasing the surface area enormously. So here they are accommodating very large number of neurons. That is the main function of these foldings. Okay, so here these folds increase the surface area enormously and accommodate very large number of neurons in cerebral cortex. Okay, so this is what you need to remember. So here there are several folds in cerebral cortex. Now the cerebral cortex is referred to as the gray matter due to the grayish appearance. So here the cerebral cortex is also called gray matter due to its grayish appearance, and this grayish appearance is because of the cell bodies. The neuron cell bodies are concentrated here, giving the grayish color. So because of the presence of cell bodies of the neurons in cerebral cortex, it is giving a grayish appearance, and so it is called gray matter. Very important. Now after this, the continuation part. Okay, here fibers of the tracts. The fibers of the tracts of nerve fibers are covered with the myelin sheath. One more very important concept. I repeat this once again. The nerve fibers of the tracts are covered with the myelin sheath, which constitute the inner part of the cerebral hemisphere, and here they give an opaque white appearance to the layer and hence is called white matter. And this white matter is because of the presence of myelin sheath surrounding the fibers of the neurons. Okay, so the fibers are nothing but the axons. Okay, so the axons of the neurons are covered with the myelin sheath, which constitute the inner part of the cerebral hemisphere, and they give an opaque white appearance to the layer, and hence it is called white matter. So here the two important things that we need to remember: cell bodies, they give which appearance? They give grayish appearance. Okay, and the one more, that is the myelin sheath. Myelin sheath, where it is present, this myelin sheath surrounding the axons or the nerve fibers, okay, that gives the whitish, okay, appearance, that is opaque white appearance, and that is what we call white matter. So cell bodies outer side, and the myelin sheath, myelinated axons inner side. Okay, so the outer side gray matter, the inner side white matter. This is what we find in case of brain, and it is quite opposite in case of spinal cord. In spinal cord, outer side is white matter and the inner side is gray matter, quite opposite to that we find in case of brain. So this is about the cortex and medulla. The inner regions is medulla, the outer region is cortex, parts in the human brain. Okay, now the continuation part. Here the forebrain has regions which receive, I repeat this once again, there are separate areas of the forebrain specialized for hearing, okay, smell, sight, and so on. So here what the forebrain is doing, it has the regions which can receive the sensory impulses from various receptors that are coming from, that are found in the different sense organs. Okay, now here there are separate areas of association also found in the forebrain. Important again. Okay, there are separate areas of association where the sensory information is interpreted by putting it together with the information from the other receptors as well, and information that is already stored in the brain. So this is one more very important concept. I repeat this once again. Okay, here there are separate areas of association where the sensory information is interpreted by putting it together with the information from other receptors as well as the information that is already stored in the brain. So this is how it is. The areas of association, they work. Okay, and there are separate areas of association. Okay, now the continuation part. Here, based on all this, a decision is made. Okay, so based on all these associations, a decision is made about how to respond, and the information is passed on to the motor areas. Okay, after the functioning of the association areas, now a decision is made and about how to respond. Okay, and that decision is now, the information regarding the decision is passed on to the motor areas which control the movement of voluntary muscles. So these motor areas control the movement of voluntary muscles. For example, the muscles found in the leg, these are the voluntary muscles, so their movement can be under the control. So here the forebrain has the areas that control voluntary movements. Okay, especially the cerebrum part of the forebrain controls these voluntary actions, the voluntary movements in the body. Okay, now the continuation part. Here the cerebrum wraps around the thalamus, okay, which is a major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. So what is the role of thalamus? Its role is, it is a major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. Okay, so here the cerebrum wraps around the thalamus, which is the major coordinating center for sensory and motor signaling. And also here, hypothalamus lies at the base of the thalamus. You can see here in this picture, you will understand better. This is hypothalamus. See this part, this is labeled as hypothalamus. The upper part of this is the thalamus. Okay, at the base, at the floor of the thalamus is the hypothalamus. Okay, so here the cerebrum is wrapping this thalamus, and it is a coordinating center, and at the base of the thalamus we find the hypothalamus. Okay, and now this hypothalamus lies at the base of the thalamus, and this contains a number of centers which control body temperature, urge for eating and drinking. So the centers which control body temperature and the centers, the areas for eating and drinking are found in hypothalamus. Okay, now few more important aspects are the hypothalamus also contains several groups of neurosecretory cells, very very important for exams. Okay, I repeat this once again. Hypothalamus also contains several groups of neurosecretory cells which secrete hormones called hypothalamic hormones, and these hormones can be of two types: releasing hormones, okay, and inhibiting hormones. These are the two types of hypothalamic hormones. Okay, so the neurosecretory cells which are found in the hypothalamus secrete the hormones which are called hypothalamic hormones, which are of two types. They are releasing hormones. They stimulate the release of hormones from pituitary gland, and the inhibiting hormones which inhibit, okay, the release of hormones from the pituitary gland. So this is how these hormones are controlling the functioning of pituitary gland. So the hypothalamus is called the master of pituitary gland. Okay, so this is the master of pituitary gland. One very important concept is pituitary gland is called the master endocrine gland. I repeat this statement once again. Pituitary gland is called master endocrine gland because it is controlling the functioning of many other endocrine glands. But here, very important aspect is hypothalamus is called the master of master endocrine gland, that is the pituitary gland. Okay, so it is secreting the hypothalamic hormones like releasing hormones and inhibiting hormones which are controlling the functioning of pituitary gland. Okay, so the hypothalamus is having both the functions, endocrine functions as well as the functions like some of the involuntary functions are controlled by the hypothalamus, like it is the body temperature is regulated, the urge for eating and drinking. Okay, so these are controlled by hypothalamus. Now the continuation part of this, the inner parts, one of the important aspect in connection with this useful for competitive exams. Okay, and that is what we call limbic system. Okay, here the inner parts of the cerebral hemispheres, where I repeat it once again, the inner parts of the cerebral hemispheres and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala and hippocampus, etc., form a complex structure that is called limbic lobe or limbic system. I repeat this once again. The inner parts of cerebral hemispheres and a group of associated deep structures like amygdala and hippocampus, etc., they form a complex structure called the limbic lobe or the limbic system. Okay, here along with the hypothalamus, this limbic system is involved in the regulation of sexual behavior, expression of emotional reactions, and the motivation. So these are the functions of limbic system. I repeat the functions of limbic system once again. Here the limbic system along with the hypothalamus is involved in the regulation of sexual behavior, the expression of emotional reactions, okay, like excitement, okay, like pleasure, okay, like rage, okay, like fear. All these emotions, they are under the control of this limbic system, and also the motivation. Very, very important for competitive exams. So, what are the functions of limbic system? The answer is, it is involved in the regulation of sexual behavior, expression of emotional reactions like excitement, pleasure, rage, fear, etc., and the motivation. So these are the functions of limbic system. Now the continuation part of this. Here the midbrain. Till now we discussed about the forebrain part of the human brain. Okay, we discussed about the forebrain. It consists of, as we discussed, the cerebral hemispheres, the cerebrum, okay, thalamus, hypothalamus, then the inner parts, the limbic system. Okay, now let's discuss about the next part, that is the midbrain. Okay, here the midbrain is located between the thalamus, hypothalamus of the forebrain and the pons of the hindbrain. So it means it is between the forebrain and the hindbrain. So between these two we find the midbrain. So the part, the thalamus, hypothalamus part of the forebrain and the pons of the hindbrain. You can see here in this picture, this is the thalamus, hypothalamus part of the forebrain, and this is the pons region. This is the pons region of the hindbrain. This part is hindbrain. So above this and below this. So the thalamus, hypothalamus part is here, below it and above it. So this region constitute the midbrain part, the midbrain part of the human brain. Okay, so the location is between the forebrain and the hindbrain, between the thalamus, hypothalamus of the forebrain and the pons of the hindbrain. Okay, now the functions. The midbrain helps to relay information for vision and hearing. So this is one of the important aspect. I repeat this once again. The midbrain helps to relay information for vision and hearing. So these are the functions of midbrain. Now moving to the next, that is, okay, the hindbrain part. Now the hindbrain comprises pons, cerebellum and medulla oblongata. Okay, you can see here the picture. Okay, this is pons, this is medulla, and this one is okay, cerebellum. So pons, medulla and cerebellum, these three constitute the hindbrain part of, okay, this human brain. Okay, now this hindbrain part, okay, here one more important aspect is the brain stem. Midbrain, pons, medulla oblongata, they form brain stem. You can see here in this picture, this is, okay, pons, this is midbrain. Okay, and here you can see the midbrain is this part, this is pons, and this is medulla. So this one is what we call, okay, the brain stem region. Okay, so midbrain, pons and medulla, they constitute what? The brain stem. Okay, so that is what you need to remember. The midbrain, pons and medulla, they constitute brain stem. Okay, here the brain stem forms the connection between brain and spinal cord. So what is the function of this brain stem? It is forming the connection between the brain and spinal cord. See, this is a spinal cord and this part is a brain. So between brain and spinal cord, the connection is brainstem, and this brainstem is formed by midbrain, pons, and one more is medulla oblongata. Now the continuation part of this, let's discuss in detail about the pons. This is a part of hindbrain. Pons consists of fiber tracts that interconnect different regions of the brain. So here the pons consists of the fibers, tracts that interconnect the different regions of the brain. And here the pons is involved in regulation of respiration along with the medulla oblongata. So the function of pons, it is controlling the involuntary functions like the respiration along with the medulla oblongata. Now after that, one more very important part here, the cerebellum. You can see here in the picture, this part is what we call cerebellum. This is cerebellum. This one is cerebellum. And this part, the cerebellum, has a few very important functions to perform. Cerebellum has very convoluted surface. You can see in the picture, it has the convoluted surface. And here the cerebellum, in order to provide the additional space for many more neurons. So here the cerebellum has very convoluted surface in order to provide the additional space for many more neurons. And here the cerebellum is responsible for precision of voluntary actions. It is responsible for precision of voluntary actions. So walking in a straight line, riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil, all these are controlled by the cerebellum. Very important. I repeat this once again. So the precision of voluntary actions are controlled by cerebellum, but the voluntary activities are controlled by cerebrum. And here the examples like walking in a straight line, riding a bicycle, picking up a pencil. So all these are they are controlled by cerebellum part of human brain. And now one more very important aspect is cerebellum is also responsible for maintaining the posture and balance of the body. So maintaining the posture and balance of the body, maintaining equilibrium in the body. So equilibrium, the posture, the balance, all these are controlled by the cerebellum part of human brain. Now the continuation part of this, one more is medulla oblongata. The medulla is connected to the spinal cord. Here you can see this is the spinal cord and this last part is the medulla. Medulla is connected to the spinal cord. And here the medulla contains centers for controlling respiration, cardiovascular reflexes, and the gastric secretions. And the involuntary actions like heartbeat, blood pressure, salivation, vomiting, all these are controlled by medulla oblongata. So the rate of heartbeat, the rate of respiration, the salivation, the vomiting, all these, the involuntary functions are controlled by the medulla oblongata. So these are the different parts in human brain. So here the human brain consists of three major parts. They are forebrain, midbrain, and hindbrain. The forebrain has the cerebrum, thalamus, hypothalamus in it. Cerebrum is the largest part. And here you can see the midbrain, which is between the thalamus, hypothalamus of the forebrain and the pons of the hindbrain. And here the last part, the hindbrain, consists of pons, cerebellum, and medulla oblongata. So these are the different regions. Brain is protected inside the skull by cranial meninges. The cranial meninges are three. the outer dura mater, the middle arachnoid, and the inner pia mater. These are the meninges surrounding the brain. Okay, so here this is all about today's session about human brain. If you are new to my channel, subscribe for more sessions. If you liked it, share it with your friends. I'll be back